On Global TV News Prime, federal government dismisses claims Nigerian scholars abandoned in Morocco. In business, Nigeria's stock market capitalization hit 100 trillion naira. On the foreign scene, United States sets condition for Venezuela, urges it to cut ties with China. And in sport, Super Eagles threaten to boycott Algeria match over unpaid bonuses. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365, and on StarTimes, channel 276. And now, the news in details. The federal government has dismissed claims that Nigerian scholars in Morocco have been abandoned, describing reports as misleading and deliberately intended to misinform the public. Earlier reports suggested the Nigerian students studying in Morocco under the federal government scholarship scheme were facing hardship, including homelessness and lack of medical support, prompting widespread concern on social media. The Director of Press and Public Relations at the Federal Ministry of Education, Boriwo Folashade, in a statement, said the narratives circulating in some quarters were false, unfounded, and deliberately crafted to misinform the public. The Labour Party's vice presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Senator Datti Baba Ahmed, has formally declared his interest in contesting the presidency in 2027. Amidst ongoing realignment within Nigeria's political space. Baba Ahmed, who was the running mate to former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, made the declaration at a rally held at the party's national secretariat in Abuja. His announcement comes barely 1 week after Peter Obi announced his departure from the Labour Party for the African Democratic Congress. This move has triggered intense debate over the party's future and the direction of the wider opposition ahead of the next general election. Non-prominent Niger Delta leader and traditional ruler Asari Dokubo has pledged his support for President Bola Tinubu's re-election bid ahead of the 2027 general election. Dokubo made the declaration during a visit by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to his palace in Degema, River State. Ubong Usoro completes the story.
Minister Nyesom Wike, who had been on a thank you tour across local government areas in River State, explained that the visit was also aimed at mobilizing support for President Tinubu's second-term ambition and reconnecting with a long-time associate.
So I granted what was bigger my reception.
In an emotional address, Asari Dokubo thanked President Tinubu for standing by him during a difficult period of his life, describing the gesture as one he would never forget. He said the time has come to return the favor by supporting the president's bid for a second term in office.
We are very grateful for this visit and we cherish it. Like he said, my friend, everything that is going to happen, I'll be with you in making sure that my friend.
Dokubo's endorsement reflects growing political alignment among traditional rulers and key stakeholders as consultations and mobilization intensify ahead of the 2027 general elections. Ubong Usoro, Global Television News.
Let's move away from politics to litigation matters where Justice Emeka Nwiti of the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, his wife and son, bail of 500 million naira each with strict conditions, including the submission of landed property documents and traveling papers. Justice Nwiti admitted that the defendants have been given bail following their arraignment on a 16-count charge filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). In his ruling, the judge ordered that each defendant must produce 2 sureties in like sum. The sureties must own landed properties within Maitama, Asokoro, or Gwarimpa districts of Abuja. On the killing of a nurse at the Federal Medical Center Abuja while returning home from night duty has sparked widespread outrage and renewed concern over the safety of female workers amidst Nigeria's worsening insecurity. Many Nigerians are now questioning the responsibility of employers and government in protecting women who work late hours. Our correspondent Aniete Patrick completes the story.
The death of Nurse Chinemerem Pascalina Chukwumezirim, a staff nurse at the Federal Medical Center Abuja, has once again brought Nigeria's insecurity into sharp focus. She was reportedly killed on January 3, 2026, while returning home after closing from work late at night, a tragedy that has left colleagues, family members and the public in shock. Across Abuja and other major cities,
it is never a death sentence because they are providing essential services. If they are not there, patients will die. Emergency situations will not be attended to. So it is not her fault, or it's not anybody's fault for closing from work late, or going to work late, or going to work early hours of the day. But what the government need to do is all the offices, that is the different organizations of government, need to come together and have a plan.
Labor experts argued that the tragedy goes beyond a criminal act, raising questions about employer responsibility in a high-risk security environment. They note that under existing labor laws, employers owe workers a duty of care, a responsibility that does not end when the workday closes.
If there's way they can organize a special vehicle for them from their working place that will be taking them home, or they should make it that within so duration of time should be the time they should be spending, because they are mothers having children at home and husband they need to attend to. Working late is very dangerous for them and it's a hazard.
Meanwhile, the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives Federal Health Institutions sector has called for investigations and improved security, but many Nigerians insist that post-incident investigations are not enough. In a press statement, the National Secretary, Enya Osinachi, condemned the murder and called for urgent measures to protect nurses amid rising insecurity nationwide.
Different organization has their own schedule of time and getting my brother. So if anybody is doing night shifts, should be from maybe in the evening, 5 o'clock till the next morning. Instead of working and closing around 11, 12, that's so much. I get to my brother.
Until then, the question remains, how many more women must pay with their lives before safety becomes a priority? Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Dr. Oluwagbemisola Adestotu as the Director General of the Nigerian Law School, making her the first woman to lead the institution since its establishment in 1962. In a congratulatory message, the Nigerian Bar Association Women Forum described the development as a historic milestone for legal education in Nigeria. The statement, issued and signed by the chairperson of the forum, Huwaila Mohammed, said the appointment represents a significant win for women at the bar in the legal profession. Some police officers have reiterated their call on the Nigerian police force to obey the judgment of the National Industrial Court, which ordered their reinstatement after the alleged forceful retirement. The aggrieved retired officers, who were members of the courses 33, 34, and 35 force of the Nigerian police entrant of the police academy, had earlier approached the National Industrial Court to challenge their compulsory retirement from the force when they are yet to reach the mandatory 35 years. The court, presided over by Justice Oyumi Oyebiola, ordered that the Inspector General of Police, the Police Service Commission, and the Force Secretary of the Police to reinstate the officers. The court also restrained the defendant, the Inspector General of Police, the Police Service Commission, and the Force Secretary from retiring the officers compulsorily. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted hazy and sunshine from today to Friday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook released in Abuja envisaged sunny and hazy skies over the northern region throughout the forecast period. It anticipated sunny skies over the southern regions with patches of cloud over the region and chances of isolated thunderstorms accompanied with light rains over parts of Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State later in the day. Suspected bandits have attacked the National Park Service office in Orire local government area of Oyo State. The attack occurred around 9 p.m. where several officers were reportedly killed or injured during the incident. Further details, including the exact number of casualties, are yet to be confirmed. The State Police Public Relations Officer, Olayinka Ayanlade, was said to have confirmed the incident. You are watching the live broadcast of News Prime. When News Prime returns, Disco's revenue rises as federal government paid 458.75 billion naira electricity subsidies in 3 months. Details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back from that break, and now to business news, where the Nigerian stock market hit a record milestone, reaching a market value of over 100 trillion naira for the first time ever. This follows a strong rally that lifted equity capital from 99.90 trillion naira to 101.5 trillion naira, traded by the all-share index. The market surged 2,725.8 points, or 1.74%, to close up at 159,218.2, up from the 156,730.7, as investors took positives in mid and large cap counters. This sustained momentum brings the ASI within the striking distance of the 160,000 point mark, fueled by positive sentiment and stock hitting the 10% daily gain limit. Still talking business, electricity distribution companies, also known as DISCOs, posted measurable operational gains, with tariff collection efficiency rising to 80.7%, up from 4.63% in the third quarter of 2025. The increase in revenue signals gradual improvement in revenue recovery amid non-cost reflective tariffs, according to the latest data released by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. According to the report, despite the introduction of Ban A tariff regime, government subsidies remained a critical lifeline for electricity value chain, accounting for 58.63% of total GENCO's invoice in the third quarter. The federal government has inaugurated a joint implementation committee to plan a national digital literacy conference and oversee training and certification of 1 million Nigerians in digital and emerging skills. The committee said it has prepared the groundwork for Nigeria to attain 95% digital literacy by 2030. The committee was inaugurated in Abuja by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, General Service Office, and the Office of the SGF, Ibrahim Kana, at the launch of the Clergy Wealth Digital Nigeria Skill Up Initiative. The Permanent Secretary said the initiative aligned with the federal government's digital transformation agenda, the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy, and the Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. And now to the foreign scene. The military government of Burkina Faso says it has successfully foiled a sophisticated plot to assassinate Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the country's transitional president, aimed at destabilizing the nation. In a late-night television address, Security Minister Mahmoud Sana, stated that intelligence service intercepted the operations in its final stages. Zarau Nasir has the details.
Orchestrated by former interim leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul Hilary Senduagu Damiba, who was ousted by Traore in a 2022 coup, involved plans to kill the president, either by shooting him at a close range or using explosives at his residence after 11 p.m. local time on January 3rd. The scheme reportedly extended beyond the assassination, targeting key institutions, civilian figures, and a drone launch base to prevent foreign intervention.
Mobilisation du pays. Cela allait se faire par une série d'assassinats ciblés des autorités civiles.
Sana also claimed that the operation received partial funding from neighboring Ivory Coast, including transfers to around 70 million francs, which is approximately $125. Damiba, currently in exile in Togo, has not responded to the accusations, nor has the government of Ivory Coast issued any comment. This marks yet another alleged coup attempt against Traore, who has faced multiple threats since seizing power amid escalating jihadist insurgency. Zahra Nasir, reporting for Global TV.
Let's move away from Africa to America, where the United States has imposed a new set of conditions on Venezuela as part of efforts to reopen and expand its oil production and export, demanding that the Caracas reduce its strategic and economic ties with China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba. According to reports citing U.S. officials, Washington wants Venezuela's interim government to prioritize oil sales to the United States and to enter into a new exclusive energy partnership with American companies. In talks with lawmakers, United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the administration believes it has leverage over Venezuela's oil sector, noting that storage facilities are full and the country could face severe financial pressure if it cannot sell its crude oil. Iran's top military commander, General Amir Hatami, has warned that Tehran will not remain silent in the face of mounting threat from the United States and Israel, following their public support for anti-government protests sweeping across the country. Hatami said the Islamic Republic viewed the recent escalation in hostile rhetorics as a direct threat to its sovereignty and will not tolerate its continuation without responding. The army chief, who commands the Iran's regular military forces but is not the nation's most senior military officer, cautioned that Tehran's response would surpass its action during the last June 12-day conflict with Israel. China has sharply criticized United States President Donald Trump's planned intervention in Venezuela's oil industry. It says the outrageous use of force against Venezuela by the United States and the demand that the country should manage its oil resources according to the American First Principle constitute harassment, violate international law, and harm the rights of the Venezuelan people. China further says Venezuela has full sovereignty over its mineral resources and economic activities. China is a key ally of Venezuela and the largest buyer of South American countries' oil. And now to sports. Super Eagles players have threatened not to travel to Marrakesh for their next Africa Cup of Nations AFCON match against Algeria unless all outstanding winning bonuses are paid by the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF). According to the source, players and officials are reportedly still awaiting their bonus payments from the tournament. It was gathered that the win bonuses for the 4 matches against Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, and Mozambique have yet to be settled. While the team remains committed to the competition, they have made it clear that they will not train or travel to Marrakesh for the next match unless the outstanding payments are resolved. Still talking sport, referees and other match officials in the Nigeria Premier Football League have not been paid their indemnities for officiating in the top flight for about 11 match days, leading to growing discontent ahead of the second stanza of the 2025-2026 season. The Nigeria Premier Football League is currently on a mid-season break, and that payment to match referees, referee assessors, and match commissioners have stalled since March Day 8. Some of the affected officials who pleaded anonymity disclosed that their basic allowances per match range from 60,000 naira to 90,000 naira, aside from hotel and transport allowances. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, let's take a look at some of our top stories. The federal government has dismissed claims that Nigerian scholars in Morocco have been abandoned, describing the report as misleading and deliberately intended to misinform the public. In business, we brought to you that the Nigerian stock market hit a major milestone, reaching a market value of 100 trillion naira for the first time ever. Now, this follows a strong rally that lifted equity capital from 99.90 trillion naira to 105.5 trillion naira. On the foreign scene, you heard that the United States has imposed a new set of conditions on Venezuela as part of efforts to reopen and expand its oil production and export, demanding that Caracas reduce its strategic and economic ties with China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba. And in the world of sport, you heard that the Super Eagles players have threatened not to travel to Marrakesh for their next Africa Cup of Nations AFCON match against Algeria unless all outstanding winning bonuses are paid by the Nigeria Football Federation. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.